Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here for our session. So we're today going to talk about how to choose the best deployment option for your Dynamics 365 for retail environments. How many here have been to a similar session we did at the Business Application Summit previously? One person, a couple of people. Okay, for most of you, this will be net new content, so there'll be quite a bit of learning here. So for our agenda today, we have a packed session here. We're going to talk about solution architecture, briefly to give you some context on how our solution is set up. We're going to talk about deployment patterns, future topologies, and then a question that comes up a lot when people start their implementations is, what are the different factors I need to consider when choosing one of the different deployment topology when I deploy the solution? And then we'll take Q&A. The session is only about 45 minutes. So I would suggest along the way, if you have questions, feel free to ask them instead of waiting at the very end because we might run out of time. And with that, I'm going to hand this over to Jared to start with the solution architecture.
Thanks, Amir. So let's dive right in. We do have a lot to cover. Specifically in an environment, we've got a variety of aspects, client side and server side. Server side, you've got your high availability, you've got your databases, you have your AOS environments that are hosting most of the components in the cloud. Then on the client side, you've got a variety of components depending upon your architecture, and that's the big piece of what we're going to talk about today. So specific to the components that can occur, one of the newest ones is our retail store scale unit, which involves the cloud point of sale site, the retail server, the channel database, and the async client. These components can now be hosted locally on premises along with the cloud environment. This allows you to kind of mix and match. You end up having a lot lower latency times. You end up having cloud point of sale locally, so you don't have to worry about any potential issues with cloud architecture in that regard. You can use still point of sale offline, and this has a very secure service-to-service authentication to the cloud environment. Going from there, we talk about cloud point of sale. So cloud point of sale, still utilizing retail server in the same way that modern point of sale does. It's still the same architecture that modern point of sale is, based on an IIS site. So if you're using a retail store scale unit, it'll be local. Otherwise, we provide it out of box in any environment generated. Next up, modern point of sale. This is the guy we've had now for years at this point. Universal app. So your self-service deployment will generate the Apex installation. And we had some slides on mass deployment, which we would talk about as well, but due to time constraints, we're going to cut that. So if you guys want to talk mass deployment, you can come up and chat with me after the presentation. This is cross-platform as well. That's the big piece. So iOS, Android, we have the abilities to host cloud point of sale within shims on those platforms to allow you to have the exact same experience across. Further, and I don't have it on the slide, so apologies there, we're now working on creating Hardware Station on the Android platform as well. And I'll talk to Hardware Station in just a moment. The async client. So we call this out specifically as a function of the retail store scale unit because this is really your data synchronization piece. This is where a lot of your service-to-service authentication comes from. It's installed right along with the channel database. So wherever that gets installed, your async client is going to be installed. It's a Windows service, and it utilizes service-to-service auth. So anybody here actually done a RSSU installation? A few? Couple? So a big piece out of this that we've heard is the S-to-S auth can be difficult. We're working on that. As a function of what we're going to talk about in a bit here is an upcoming component set. And as part of that work, we're going to try to simplify the installation of RSSU. We want it to become easier. We want the configuration in the back end to be simple and fluid. So modern point of sale with offline. So 9 times out of 10, we hear that it's using SQL Express, because of course we need that to be cost effective. It's hard to have 1,000 devices with SQL Standard. Not many people want to pay for that. But that does give you your limitations. We're working currently on enabling SQL Server 2017, which enhances some of those limitations. You have a little more memory capability, you have a little more processing capability. The next question, which I have to the SQL team, is when are we going to get past that 10 gigabyte limit? So that is in progress as well. As it stands today, though, this is modern point of sale. This is the key application that we've been pushing out, and this is going to be the biggest piece that we've been working on lately among payments, CDX, synchronization specific to how the offline database works. We've been making improvements across the board on this component.
So as a show of hands, how many people here have worked with deployments with an offline database on point of sale? Quite a few people. How many people have run into the 10 gigabyte limit? Okay.
Almost the same number.
Same number.
Almost. Yes, indeed. So there was an earlier talk on which I wished I had had a little more time, but we spoke on how to actually utilize channel data groups. So feel free to come up to me and chat with me a little bit about that as well. Channel data groups can assist with this a little bit, trying to limit what that data set is. We have a few other tweaks we can talk about too. So the next up is your peripheral devices. This obviously isn't a component that Microsoft is hosting, but it's critical that it works. So UPause, OPause, your network addressable, all your various types of hardware that occur, they just need to work. And so we've been actively pushing on this with our new payment stack structure that's occurring to try to enhance how this works, to try to enhance the reliability, to try to enhance the actual troubleshooting. So when an issue occurs, we now have additional logging, we have additional telemetry, and we have many areas and placements of eventing to try to hone in on exactly what the issue is, how to fix it. So that's the big go forward in peripheral devices. So then we get to hardware station. So both modern point of sale and cloud point of sale can utilize hardware station. This also, of course, goes to Android and iOS from the shim. The key being an IIS website, and to everything I've already said, we've been actively working on hardware hardening, on being able to have reliability when something goes wrong. When your payment terminal, for whatever reason, can't connect, when your payment terminal, for whatever reason, restarts, we try our best now to be able to fix that and work past it. Restart the device, continue your transaction without issue. We are working on tokenization across the board with our new payment connector, which will tie right into hardware station. And that will actually, again, harden it down so you don't have to worry about issues where maybe the card has to be run twice. The biggest problem, right? So we don't want to deal with that anymore. So now we're going to have tokenization across the board so that you swipe once, it's tokenized, and now anytime that transaction continues, you're good. So let's talk deployment patterns. So there's a lot of options in terms of what a customer can really do in their architecture. What is it really going to look like? How could they best fit with their organization? And so there's a lot of patterns we can utilize in that regard. And then there's a lot of considerations as to which pattern to choose. So I'm going to first talk about what these patterns are, and then Amir's going to take over and talk about some of our future patterns, and then also those considerations of how to choose these patterns. So first off, cloud. Cloud only, cloud first, cloud period. maybe it's modern point of sale, maybe it's cloud point of sale. It doesn't really matter in that regard. The end result is you're strictly working against our cloud environment. We're taking care of everything in that regard. All you have are your peripheral devices and your point of sale, maybe with offline. If you truly want to go the distance on that cloud-only concept, you end up with cloud pause. This is where you have a dedicated internet connection that you're not worried about. You likely have failover, you have high speeds, you're happy with the latency to Azure, and all your peripherals are pretty strong and valid. You haven't had any problems, you're pretty happy with their support. Likely you have a hardware station in here as well, obviously. Which gets you to the concept of with hardware station. Obviously, some peripherals will work out of box. Most are going to require a hardware station in some fashion because of OPAWS. Your backend stays the same. The cloud point of sale website could also be in an RSSU, which gets us to some of our future patterns a little bit here, where we have mix and match, modern point of sale and cloud point of sale. This is a big one that a lot of people have started taking so that you can have that kind of support if for any reason your environment goes down, your network goes down, whatever the case may be, you still have at least one modern point of sale register with an offline. And that way you can still keep working. Maybe your failover works, but you've lost your connection to the cloud. Whatever the case may be, this allows you to keep moving forward. And that gets us to what I had mentioned before, having that in-store deployment. Maybe it's in a data center, maybe it's local. The end result is you've deployed a retail store scale unit so that you can actually have these components locally enough that your latency's dropped. Many of your end-to-end scenarios can be functional right there without having to worry about cloud infrastructure. Big key on this. This does not mean you are offline capable. That is a critical call out. Do not tell your customers that this means you can do everything offline. It's not the case. This is to minimize latency. It's to allow cloud point of sale to be on premises in terms of page. You still can't do RTS calls. You still can't even, in many cases, log in unless you have cloud capability, unless you can connect to that cloud environment. I say log in specifically because anytime a token has to be refreshed on the retail server or on the channel database, or on the cloud point of sale, in either of those cases, it's going to go to the cloud for that token. And it does that often. And so if it loses that token at any time, you've now lost login. So it is not an offline replacement. And that gets us to the next piece, private cloud. So as I mentioned initially, the concept being on premises, maybe it's a data center. That's perfectly fine. This allows you to scale a little better. It allows you to have more kind of powerful hardware. And most importantly, it allows you to have multiple stores against one RSSU. So the next piece out of that is what we've colloquially, in historical sense, called N-1. What it really is the connection to enterprise point of sale and modern point of sale in 2012 R3. Specifically with 2012 R3, customers that are currently on it can connect to a 365 environment. That can be their back end. We have now gotten components set up that allows that communication to work. So you can completely migrate to 365 in the back end. All your stores can still be 2012 R3, and you can phase properly. It's not an all-in-one time. So how does that work? You'll have your 2012 R3 components. So enterprise point of sale, modern point of sale, Probably have a retail server in there, obviously, with modern point of sale, your channel database, your async client. Those are going to talk a lot to your 2012 server components, so your 2012 AOS, obviously your message DB and how async works. All that fun stuff doesn't really change too much. As you migrate and get to that 365 cloud component set, nothing's new in that regard until we reach our N-1 component layer. We've created the real-time service for 2012 R3. This will be a replacement component. It will replace the current RTS. And the async server connector service. So this does not replace your async server. It actually connects to it to provide the service-to-service auth that's required for the 365 environment. So 365 will do all your RTS calls. It will do all your async communications. It will generate all the packages going to your database, and it will allow the async server in 2012 R3 to be able to do the communication. So with that said, that gets us to our future topologies. So I'll let Amir keep going.
Thank you, Jared. So before we jump into future topologies, on N-1, how many people here have customers or implementations on AX 2012? Okay, a few people. How many people have heard of or known about the N-1 support for cloud on-prem? Okay. So would this be something that would be of interest to you? Okay, sounds good. Good to hear that. So that's one of the things we focus on is backwards compatibility and how do we allow customers to be able to migrate and upgrade to future versions with as little friction as possible. So which kind of gets into a few new future topologies that we're going to talk about shortly. The first topology that we're going to talk about is cloud with multi-geo. So Jared earlier talked about the topologies where we support cloud only, cloud first, or hybrid where you mix and match. This topology in particular allows us to be able to take that cloud first topology and be able to address some of the limitations that exist today where customers who may be in multiple different geographies and have stores in multiple different locations working against a single Dynamics environment in the backend will now be able to have much reduced latency even in stores that are not in geographic proximity to the primary data center where their Dynamics environment is deployed. So in this example, you'll see you have some corporation who has their primary environment deployed in a data center in, say, Europe. That's where their HQ is. But they may have stores in North America and APAC. So with this new multi-geo topology, we'll be able to have these edge nodes still hosted in the Microsoft cloud in North America, in APAC, or in any other regions where the customer would have stores. So you've got two different stores connecting to these edge nodes. And the way we'll plan to introduce is that customers, even if they have existing environments today, will be able to remap some of their existing stores to be served from these different edge nodes. And so different stores can talk to edge nodes and get much lower latency than what they get today. This also addresses the scenario where a number of our customers today, because they're in multiple geographies, they kind of feel forced to use retail store scale unit for reduced latency by deploying that in their own infrastructure. And the challenge with that is the footprint of installing retail store scale unit and the maintenance of that by the customer introduces additional costs, additional maintenance, more work for the customer. And we've heard pretty loudly from our customer base that they want Microsoft to do more of the management of the solution and to be able to provide this as a native capability in the cloud. So this pattern we are introducing in multiple phases. The first phase that is expected to be available in the fall release timeframe imminently will allow for a single node in the same region as the primary environment is deployed. What that lets us do is it lets us get much better load isolation between front office and back office components. And it allows us to get a little bit better scalability and reliability and uptime with the existing constraints. In the second phase, we'll take that one edge node and allow that edge node to be deployed in multiple different regions. So that's the final vision that you see on this diagram. It's going to be in phase 2. The next pattern that kind of fits into what I talked about with regards to backwards compatibility. Question, yes? Excellent question. The question is, for the phase 1, is there going to be an additional cost for the first edge node? And the answer is, for the first phase that we're rolling out, it's going to be largely transparent from a licensing and experience standpoint, because we'll be providing equivalent capability to what we offer today, just with better reliability and better load isolation. When we get to multi-geo, at that point, we'll probably have some announcement to make with regard to the licensing model for that.
So the short answer, right now, no. In the future, there is a question mark on exactly how that's going to land.
Awesome. Another question here? Great question. The question is, will the edge components, what will be the composition of the edge components, basically? So the edge components, if I go back a couple of slides and the component diagram, you see we have retail server, channel database, and async client, these components, and also cloud pause. Those are the components that are going to be in the edge nodes. So the HQ will be in the primary region as the HQ, which includes your AOS and your batch server, DIXF, all of those components. The edge nodes are going to be for retail operations primarily. Any other questions before I proceed? Okay. One other kind of side benefit of the change we're going to introduce very imminently is that servicing is going to be a little bit more flexible. One of the challenges we've heard from customers today is anytime a customer environment needs an update for back office, they need to take downtime for the entire cloud solution, or if they need to take update just for retail server channel database, they need to take a downtime for the entire environment. With the first phase, what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to do independent servicing of back office and retail server components. So if you wanted to take an update just for back office, your retail store operations would largely stay not affected unless you're doing real-time operations. But for the primary operations, you'll be not disrupted in any meaningful way. And likewise, if you're taking updates just for your retail server and channel database and cloud pause in the cloud, your back office would be pretty much non-disturbed in that regard as well. So this is the multi-geo with cloud. The other pattern I want to talk about is the local business data. So over the last several years, we've had a number of customers ask us about what our story is going to be for on-prem. We've had a very large installed base of customers on AX2012, and in particular, we have customers who operate sometimes in very restricted industries. We have customers in government or customers who work in criminal justice space or customers in certain industries or regions that really are restricted with regard to being able to uptake our solution in the cloud. And we also have some customers who may have made large capital expenditure investments in their private data centers, and they want to be able to leverage that investment for the near-term future. So for those customers, we've kind of announced this topology for all of finance and operations, and this topology is the local business data topology. In this topology, your entire head office environment is capable of being deployed in your private data center. So this topology has been available since sometime last year, but there was one limitation in this topology, in that this topology did not support retail channel operations. And we heard loud and clear from customers in the retail space that there was a definite need for supporting full retail operations in this topology as well. And so in the fall release this year, we are going to have retail channel components available as part of the local business data topology as well. So your entire functional footprint of finance and operations and retail channel components will now be available as an additional topology for customers who do want this flexibility. There are going to be a few capabilities that may not still be available on the LBD topology, and I would suggest you go to docs.microsoft.com, and we've kind of listed the specific capabilities that are not available. And then we do kind of look for feedback on specific capabilities that customers do want, and then we can add those to our backlog. How many people here have heard of the LBD topology before? Private data center or on-prem topology? A few people have. Okay, a few people have. Okay. So yeah, that's our topology for backwards compatibility. So by now, you've probably seen at least 7 different patterns available for deployment of your retail environment. Now, the question is going to be, what are the different factors I need to consider when picking one or the other topology in this case? So this is going to be a little bit dense, so I'm going to warn you about that. So here's largely the different classes of topologies that we discussed. We discussed the cloud only, cloud plus point of sale offline, and then cloud vNext, cloud plus RSSU, and then LBD plus RSSU. Uptime SLA. So we see for a number of customers in the retail space, uptime is critical. And there are also customers in certain sub-verticals where uptime is not as critical. When they weigh the pros and cons of what it takes to go from 3 nines to 4 nines, sometimes it doesn't justify the extra effort. For some customers, it does. So being able to understand what the uptime SLA of our cloud-only offering is will help you make an informed decision on which topology makes sense. So for our cloud-only topologies, we offer today 3 nines of uptime for our primary store operations. It'll be the same for the vNext, which is the cloud with multi-geo, or also it's been called the retail cloud scale unit. When you look at RSSU, or when you look at LBD plus RSSU, Microsoft doesn't control the uptime. So the uptime will be largely a function of the service ops organization that is operating on that topology. It could be operated by a partner organization, or it could be operated by the IT department of the customer themselves. So based on how much confidence they have about the uptime from a service ops standpoint would determine what level of uptime they're comfortable with there. And then the second one is the cloud plus offline. This is an interesting one in that we do give you 3 nines of uptime in the cloud, but in addition, we see a lot of retailers, what they do is they have at least one or more offline register in each store. So what that does is if for some reason it's the 0.1% of the time where we're not up in the cloud, you do have the ability to fall back to your offline database on your point of sale register to be able to continue to process transactions during that time period. Then the next one is servicing downtime. This is an important criteria because we do expect customers to be able to uptake updates on a fairly regular cadence. And so how much downtime is involved while taking updates or while applying your customizations is an important factor to consider when you think about which topology to go with. In cloud only, we're promising about less than an hour. With cloud plus pause offline, it's going to be largely seamless switch to offline operations while the cloud is being serviced. For cloud vNext, which is our multi-geo independent load balanced infrastructure, for that one, we're looking at about eventually 15 minutes or thereabouts of downtime and applying updates. Cloud plus RSSU. This one, again, is going to be determined more by the organization themselves at what interval they choose to apply the updates, and then at what exact time they choose to apply the updates. We estimate it's going to take you about an hour or less each time you apply an update to RSSU or RSSU when it's hosted with LBD. How much do you depend on your network and what network quality do you have? How many people here deal with unreliable networks for some portion of the stores they work with? Unreliable networks? Okay, some people. Others seem to have excellent, outstanding network, which is good. So if you have very good network and you don't have any concerns with the reliability of network, then that becomes an important criteria for you to consider more cloud-only topologies versus building more infrastructure within your stores. Whereas we have a number of customers in APAC or even in the United States where they have locations that don't have reliable internet. And so to mitigate the risk of network outage, they go more with pause offline and with RSSU in the stores to be able to mitigate that issue. Staged rollout, this is an interesting one. Anytime customers take updates, and if they have, say, hundreds or even thousands of stores, to be able to mitigate the risk of unexpected changes or unexpected impact in their network, there is a desire in a lot of these organizations to be able to roll out the updates in a very phased manner. So you roll out updates to a few stores at a time, see how it goes, and then roll it out more broadly. This capability is available better in some topologies, not so much in others. In cloud only and cloud plus offline, so in cloud only today, we don't quite have the option to do staged rollout in a manner that gives you comprehensive control. We do have some capability where if you apply updates to your modern point of sale, those are within your control. So if you update from version X to version Y, for your cloud components, you get updated for all stores at once. But with your point of sale being a universal app in your store, you as the organization are in control of applying the update in a staged fashion. So on the UX layer for the point of sale, you have control. On the cloud layer, it's all at once. For cloud plus offline, you do have similar capability where you can update the backend all at once and the point of sale with offline in a phased fashion. Cloud vNext, we do have plans in our backlog where we want to support the ability to support staged rollout in the cloud across multiple different stores. So if you wanted to update retail server and cloud pause for your subset of pilot stores first, you'd be able to do that and then roll it out to the rest of your stores later. That's in our backlog to support in Cloud vNext. Cloud plus RSSU and LBD plus RSSU, both of those are entirely in the control of the organization who's rolling out the updates. So you do get much more control on rolling out the updates based on your own criteria for rolling them out. Certificate rotation is, maintenance activities. In cloud hosted, Microsoft manages all that. And on-prem, the customer is kind of responsible for managing rotation of certificates. OpEx, for cloud only, you're going to have much lower. Whereas for cloud plus offline, it's going to be a little bit higher because like some of you mentioned here, you have pause offline with SQL Express 10 gig limit being hit frequently. So there might be additional costs to consider there. Cloud vNext is going to be relatively small because we take care of a lot of the management for you, so you don't have to manage the maintenance activities there. Cloud plus RSSU and LBD plus RSSU, the organization is taking on a lot more responsibility for ongoing operations and maintenance, so it's much larger OpEx there. Hardware in the cloud only is going to be small. Cloud plus offline, you need to have more hardware to be able to support databases and so forth. Cloud vNext, much less footprint, whereas the last two, much higher expenditure to procure all the servers that you'll need. Then business continuity and high availability. In the cloud, we take care of high availability for you. We take care of disaster recovery for you across multiple different regions. So you don't have to worry too much about that. Our RPO in case, actually our RPO in case of any disaster is 5 seconds or less. So you lose no more than 5 seconds of data in the rare event there's a natural calamity where an entire data center gets wiped out. In case of RSSU or in case of RSSU with LBD, since the customers operating on this, they are kind of responsible for managing disaster recovery or high availability. We do support high availability from a technical standpoint for retail server. It's kind of architected that way. But it is up to the organization installing, deploying, and operating on that to be able to make that successfully function.
So as a quick call out on that previous slide, the servicing downtime. So we say 1 hour. That's the promise that we'll achieve. That said, that 80% of the time, 15 minutes in, we've got it done. And it's back up ready to be approved and done. Beyond that, when we talk cert rotation and we talk hardware footprint and things like that, it really comes down to what your client-side store looks like. You could be as much cloud-only as possible, but still have hardware that's very impactful and difficult to maintain and support on premises. So it's that give and take of what are you trying to achieve? What are the true goals that are necessary for this customer? And then lastly, when we mention things like network dependence, high availability, concepts like this, do you have failover? Do you have, are you truly confident in this connection? Is it of enough up and downstream with enough channels to be able to have the throughput necessary for those point of sale clients, for your hardware, things like that.
Thank you, Jared. So we're down to the last 9 minutes. And so if people have questions, now would be the time to start raising your hands. Otherwise, we'll keep going until we run out of time here. So this is the next set of deployment considerations, and this is more related to operability and scalability. For scalability, the first two, when it's Microsoft managed, we manage scalability for you. You don't need to worry about that. If you're deploying on-prem, whether it's with LBD or just RSSU with the cloud, you're, as the customer or the operating organization, responsible for managing the adequate hardware and scaling out the infrastructure as needed. Peak load design, we're tentatively able to handle at least 1 million cart lines per hour in the cloud. And when we get to Cloud vNext, our goal is to be able to handle 10x that easily. For Cloud plus RSSU and LBD plus RSSU, there are no architectural limitations on scale. As long as you can keep throwing hardware at it, it will scale reasonably well. If you have customers who have a load that exceeds what we've listed here in the cloud, please reach out to us. We are willing to work with any customers who exceed this load. The way we typically look at this is these are theoretical numbers based on what we've tested so far. Anytime we have customers that exceed the stated load capacity in the cloud, we work with them to make sure we're able to scale to whatever number is needed. Then data residency, we're able to support your data being limited across 54 regions. So we allow you to deploy in 54 plus regions. We support Go Local in all the cloud-hosted topologies. For LBD plus RSSU, since it's private cloud, you are in full control of where you deploy it. For monitoring the service, whatever is deployed in the cloud, Microsoft actually monitors that entirely. For cloud plus offline or any components where you deploy your bits in your store or on-prem, you as the organization are responsible for monitoring and managing those components. Data proximity, right now it's single region in the cloud for cloud only. For cloud plus offline, single region in the cloud, but if you run offline, you also get local data access. For Cloud vNext, we're going to, like I mentioned, have data available across multiple geos, and then Cloud plus RSSU, LBD plus RSSU, you can kind of get proximity to wherever you deploy your RSSU. And the last set of considerations, I'll let Jared, maybe you want to talk about CDX, how we monitor CDX when it's cloud hosted versus when it's on-prem. It's more on the customer side.
Helps if I actually turn it on. So when we talk CDX, when you're cloud only, it's strictly cloud point of sale or modern point of sale in terms of components being utilized at the store level, and then your peripherals. Your peripherals obviously don't have any synchronization we care about in terms of Microsoft, so that leaves your actual point of sale. That's seamless. As that page loads, you've got the data, so no issues in that regard. When we start reaching concepts like offline, when we start reaching concepts like the retail store scale unit utilized in a data center or on premises, that's when you start really having to focus on those synchronization pieces. As I mentioned earlier, and I can go into the depths of this after this presentation, we've made huge jumps in how this is reliable, how it's secure, how it performs, how fast it performs, and we have a lot more coming up. We want to make this even better. We want to make it faster and more seamless. We want to further separate it from the actual functionality of the point of sale, so that when you're doing transactions, maybe you seamlessly switch to offline. When it's synchronizing, it doesn't need to switch to offline. That's not a critical call. So we're starting to prioritize our call systems. As we move forward to our CSU or vNext, as we go to LBD, obviously these components are much more managed either between Microsoft or the data center or area in which it's privately owned. In the end, it's the same flows. The CDX system that is constantly being improved.
Thank you, Jared. So if you are going with a Microsoft Managed Cloud topology, Microsoft will actually monitor and manage the CDX data synchronization for you. If it's more on-prem, although we give you the right tools and these are the same flows, there is an element of service ops that will need to step in case of any issues with synchronization if it's hosted in LBD. Servicing effort in the cloud is going to be fairly low. With cloud plus offline, there is a level of servicing that's needed for the customers to do for applying updates for in-store components. Cloud vNext is going to be even less effort to manage this. Anything that's on-prem is going to be considerably more effort to apply updates. Security design and implementation effort, the more components you have hosted in Microsoft Cloud, the more responsibility Microsoft can take in making sure that those components are very well secured. If you saw Satya's keynote the other day, we take security very, very seriously. We hire penetration testers, we do security audits, and we do security by design even before we start building a feature. And then we also secure the systems operationally on an ongoing basis. When components are more on-prem hosted, there's more responsibility from a deployment and operations standpoint on service ops to be able to secure these components well. Even though we design them well, from a security standpoint, there is a level of responsibility on the customer as well. Availability, first two available already. The vNext coming this fall, and the RSSU with LBD coming this fall as well. That's all we have. We have a couple of minutes left if people have any other questions. Otherwise, we'll be around here for the next few minutes if you want to walk up and ask us questions.
Yeah, you literally have like 30 seconds.
Okay, thanks so much for attending this talk.
Yes.